In this video, I'm making campervan curtains / blinds. These things.
DIY campervan blinds.
That's Click and Play. Welcome to my bomb shelter basement workshop, which is still an absolute mess, but I've got things to do, and one of those things is in my campervan. Now, this isn't a campervan channel, but that's how it started, and I never really finished it. And when I rebuilt the front area last year, I took out my blinds. I never really put them back in because they were rubbish. I was using these things from Ikea. They're about £10. They're Blackout blinds. They're very cardboardy. Made a wooden frame around the window, stuck them to the top, and they were my blinds. And I actually still have one attached here, and it is horrible. They're not long enough if you've got a long window. You have to stick them together, and that makes them awful. They are a pain to keep tied up. I've used these little keyring chains, but once you've had a couple of lagers, they're quite tricky to put back together. And when it gets really sunny, because they're only stuck on, they just fall off. But I'm going to a car show this weekend and I need some blinds. So like all the videos on my channel, I've got an idea. I'm gonna make it up as I go along and we'll see if it works or if it fails. First I'm gonna make a wooden frame for the small window using these lovely scrap pieces of wood and then test it out and see how it goes. Now we have a nice looking square. If this does work and you decide to do it, I think it's important that the upright sections are on the outside because there's going to be some force going on it. So this in the middle makes it stronger, I think. Now it's time to test out my stupid idea. See if it's stupid or not. So I got this punch plier from Amazon. I think it was $6.99 and it came with some rivet things. And we're just going to put holes in this and then put a wire through it. I thought that was going to be a stupid idea, but it worked out quite well. One of the issues last time was that you try to stretch it out and it always wanted to come back. So I think I'm going to leave it full length. We'll see how many holes I put in before I decide to trim it down. I'm going to do this first one slow so you can see the process, then I'll just time lapse it. This thing has a hole punch there, and then that I think puts the brass hole in. So let's give it a go. Okay, that's not great. The paper is a bit fabricy, so it didn't really punch a clean hole through. Let's go from the other side. Still pretty crap. Let's put a rivet in. I've got a feeling this won't be a video. That is terrible. What the hell? Can I take this thing off? Oh, it's ripping. Arrgh! Success! One side has a solid bit, the other side has like a little holy bit. The sharp bits go against the solid side. Nice round hole goes against the hole section. Cue the time lapse. Instead of doing single section at a time, I folded two bits together and I did two at the same time, but it also cut a better hole. Oh, that is so tedious. This better work. If it does work, there's a like button down there as well. I'm definitely going to need more of those brass eyelet things. Eyelets, I think that's what they're called. This is the point where I start making stuff up and we find out if this is a video or not. To attach this to the wooden frame, I'm going to be using bicycle gear cables. I'm also going to use these wooden screw things. I think it's called furniture hardware. Now, I don't want to jinx it, but I think it actually works. Obviously, I'd have to stick it together. Now I need to order some more eyelets and do the other side. And here's a closer look at what I just did. I put two furniture screw thingies in there. I screwed the cable to the bottom one and then threaded the cable through the top one so it comes out there. Yeah, there we go. It goes underneath there like that and you tighten it up and you have a wire running across the top. The eyelets that I ordered have arrived, and now that I've proved that this works, I'm going to repeat the process and move on to the next stage, because there's a little bit of a problem. Make that 2 problems. Problem number 1. It's really easy to close it with one hand. That's not the problem though. You can't open it with one hand. You need to use 2. You need to shimmy it. But more importantly, when you close it fully, there are so many eyelets that it won't go any further back. That's taking up 4 inches of space. Now, if you were making one of these, you could just make the frame bigger so it doesn't obscure the window as much. But I didn't do that, did I? I'm also doing the big window next, which is more than double the size of the small one. So I need to figure out what's the minimum amount of blind I need to cover the most amount of distance comfortably. So I'm gonna cut this thing in half and pray that it still works. It's now only taking up 2 inches of space, but as you just saw, once I pull it across, it really wants to come back. It's still really hard to push it all the way back with one hand, so let's fix that. To do this, I grabbed a very thin scrap piece of wood, trimmed it to the width of the blinds, cut it to the right height, put the holes in so it could slide along the cable, and then I used some sticky back plastic to stick it to the blind. This stuff really doesn't want to stick to the fabric side, so I'm going to trim one strip off, stick it to the plastic side. The holes don't line up. How? Result, 1 problem fixed. Now let's peel off the blind's sticky back plastic, stick it to the frame, see what happens. Now that I've added the wood piece, it's trickier to pull the wood across, and I figured out why. When I was drilling the holes, I marked dead center where the cable needed to be. But once you've added your furniture hardware, the cable sits at the top of the hole, which is about 2 millimeters up from where it needs to be. This means both sets of cables are pushing on the top side of the eyelets, which is causing loads of friction. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any way I can fix this one unless I build a new frame. But there was a way I could fix it. As the cable was pulling towards the top, all I had to do was remove the screw that was holding the cable, remove the furniture hardware the screw was going into, put the hole on the other side of where the cable was mounted, and it raised the cable towards the top, if that makes sense. Now that we've solved that problem, I want to fix this. I want to stop it flopping around, and I want to make it look nice and neat. Whilst that's drying, I'm going to start work on a latch to keep it closed. That's never happened to me before. Scary. That looks pretty wicked. Now I've got to fit the hinges, and I'm terrible at that. That's very satisfying. Oh, feels even better when it closes. I wasn't expecting it to stay closed like that. I actually wasn't expecting it to work at all when I messed up the hinges. I was going to put magnets on the inside to keep it closed, but I don't need to now. If that didn't work, I was going to do it again without this outside piece and then just use a hook latch on the left-hand side and then put like a screw or the hook that it goes into on the right hand side. I still might have to do that because when you open it up, it's too big on the other side, or potentially too big. I don't know yet. This thing needs finishing up with a very quick sand, then I can go install it. Doesn't fit. Now, it did fit when I tested it, but that was before I put the nice side pieces on, and there is absolutely no chance of closing it with that latch open as well. So I had to strip it back and remove the latch. Now that we've got the small one sorted, it's time to do the big window. I'm going to repeat all the same steps, apart from there will be some adjustments because this one's a hell of a lot bigger. My large bespoke campervan blinds are complete. This one went a lot smoother, but I did do a few things differently. I punched the holes 4 bits at a time, or 2 folds at a time. That gave much cleaner holes. Because this one is a lot longer, I added these little eyelets to stop the cables sagging in the middle. I also added furniture hardware to the wood to make it look neater and slide nicer. I also didn't put eyelets on the piece that touches the wood there, or the piece that touches the wood there. This gave a really flat surface, and there's not as many eyelets to push up against. On the small one, I cut the entire blind in half. On this one, I only trimmed off 25% of it. I also ran out of this nice scrap wood, so this end piece is pallet wood. But these are supposed to be blackout blinds, and there's still a gap down the middle, so I'm going to add a magnet. I started with a small circular magnet to make it look pretty, but that just fell off, and when I closed it, it still had a gap down the middle. So I switched to magnetic tape instead, and that worked perfectly. So once that was stuck on, I took it, give it a test, and realised I had enough room to try another latch system. They look awesome. So much better than I was expecting. I will be putting a proper nice little framework around it eventually, but not in this video because there's still stuff in the corner that needs doing, this countertop still needs doing properly, and there's a whole bunch of things I need to get right. The little clips that hold the blinds in, they're not amazing, but they work, so I'm okay with that. I do still have one other window I need to do, but that's the door, and this is a minibus, so the door is super tricky. There's a lot less space to work with, you've got to be super accurate, and I've got to decide how I'm making the framework go around the thing. I also need to sort out the small one. I am going to add a magnetic strip to keep it attached, but I still need to sort all this stuff out around here. I basically need to do another rebuild video that covers all the little stuff that needs finishing. But I'm not going to do that in this video because the campervan blinds work, and when I finish everything up, I want to take my time and make it look neat and tidy. So how much did it cost to get to that stage? Let's do the price of one blind, and then you could multiply it across others if you're doing this. The Ikea blinds I mentioned, they're £10 each. You can pick up a couple of bicycle gear cables from Amazon for about £5. The wood was scrap, and I used pallet wood, but if you're going to purchase it, it's not going to cost you more than £10. And the furniture hardware, you can get a box of that for about $5.99, I think mine was. Ooh, and the eyelet tool as well, that was $6.99. The blind, £5, $5.99. So it's about 38 quid for one blind. But once you have the furniture hardware and the eyelet tool, you don't have to factor that into your next costs. So £10 for the blind, £10 for the wood, £5 for the cables, 25 quid for the second one. And if I did another small window, I cut the blind in half so I wouldn't have to pay for a second blind. So that'd only be 15 quid. Now you can get campervan blinds that are specific to certain vehicles, and they're a lot cheaper, but they're still about £40 each. Last time I priced up some custom campervan blinds, They were about 60 to 70 pounds each. And they're not always going to cover the weird and wonderful shapes of how you do your own van. So I think this one was a win. So that's it for this video. As usual, thank you very much for watching. If you got this far, if you've got any tips, questions or suggestions, stick them in the comments below. If you could do the subscribe thing, it would be awesome. I'm always buzzing when I see new subscribers. And apart from that, I will see you in the next video, which is hopefully not too far away.